I thought it would be smart, and I think I have enough gas in the tank to make a video that's really centered around a 1 hour portrait. A 1 hour portrait. And I think my definition will change all the time. I won't get into the palette, but here's the palette. This isn't my mixing palette, this is where I keep the colors. And then I mix on here. I do have some black and blue, but this is where I do, oh, you can see me. This is where I do my mixing. Okay, but you know, you got your browns, yellow ochres, burnt sienna, rather, and red. And I kind of use, honestly, loosely. I'm not particular with my colors. I do have a general palette, but that's not why we're here. Why I wanted to do this video is to really break down how much pleasure, how much joy I get out of painting like this, and how important it is. It's not so much about the time limit as it is, too much liquid this, but it's not so much about the time limit as it is the detachment. It's all about like, okay, just create, for the love of God, just create. And even after all this time and believing what I'm telling you, it can be challenging sometimes. So I go, oh, you just got to paint for an hour. Now, because I've been painting for a long time, I know what I can get done. And here we're starting with the filbert, large filbert. I dunk it in my turpentine, my mineral spirits, it's a mixture, and I get some paint on the brush. So we'll kind of almost like start the clock, if you will, now. And I'm actually, let me, because I'm more ready, let's start again. Welcome to the 1 hour portrait. This is an exercise for me to completely detach. It's about creating. I'm not the paint coach. In fact, you should subscribe to the paint coach. I am just a creator. I love to paint as my medium, but it's all about the ideas. And when I have enough gas in the tank to walk through this and say, okay, I'll give you an hour. Create something for me in an hour. And there's no rules, so if I go an hour and 10 minutes, it's fine. If I go 50 minutes, it's fine. But it's the idea, it's the concept behind it. Because the takeaway, spoiler alert, is just about creating. And in doing so, you get better, and that compounds over years, and that's not my emphasis of this video. The emphasis is I carry around all these ideas. I carry around all these thoughts and energy, like pent up energy. And it's important for me just to bridge that gap of thinking about stuff and wanting to do this and wanting to do that, and then going, okay, we can do something. We can put this together. I can make it happen mentally. If I put something in my brain like, okay, an hour. Oh, my cat. I'm just So, there's something that happens psychologically, I guess, where it's like, okay, an hour portrait. I think for me, how I use that is like, I've been trying to make videos for way too long, and they become so heavy, and they never get accomplished. I've recorded like half videos way too many times. So for me, I'm using my same kind of philosophy of like, just an hour, just see what you can create in an hour. And in doing that, I think I can also put together a video if I just know it's going to be an hour. I can probably, if it needs editing and all that stuff, I can commit. Anything else is too daunting, too much. And so I wanted to share that kind of idea, that way to approach creating is the same idea. I'm using the same thing that I do with myself all the time. Just put together something for an hour, and because you've already now you've already given yourself an excuse that it can be junk. It doesn't have to be good. So then you've now freed yourself from any expectations. So right now, as you can see, it's just loose. It's all, I don't even want to use the words, but like blocking it in, and it is what I'm doing, but I don't really think like that. I'm just painting. This is on a super thick stock paper. It absorbs my paint. I get a lot more done in a short amount of time. Certain things are even not quite touch dry, but they really adhere to the paper differently than a canvas. But I am detached. I'm using a large brush. I'm using a lot of paint. I see the image, I have my reference image, and I'm just painting. I've given myself an hour to see what we can come up with. So one thing how I look at it is like, I have a head here, you know. Even let's grant me some grace here and say, okay, objectively we have a head. It's not even debatable, right? Grant me that. Now, I keep looking at my reference, and I just keep fixing it. I add and subtract, add and subtract. Again, the paper is important for this process because I find it to be way more forgiving than a canvas where you're moving the paint around, you're pushing it around. With the paper, you're not. It holds. So it's a really great, and the paper is very liberating for being completely detached. So the paper adds something subconsciously that allows me to be detached from the outcome right off the bat. Why? Because it's a paper. Paper you can throw in the garbage. Like, it's just psychologically something happens with when you use like certain materials. So I recommend it. Getting like you can get good, like I think this is like 400 GSM, and but it's still relatively cheap. You know, it's like $10 for a pack of 10. And then I even cut them down so I get more than one. I don't even use the full sheet because I just want a small. I have like this window in my day. I'm not going to be. I don't have the gas to finish an entire piece or give it the energy it needs. We're kind of leaning too far, but even the sun was like, let's say if the portrait ends up being almost centered too far left, I can crop this. I can. There's no rules, we're just creating, we're just painting. That's it. It's just like, I'm saying stuff out loud that I would tell myself like, hey, this is over. This is not centered any longer. That's fine. So I'm either going to move it over here or I'm going to shift the entire thing. I think we'll pick here, we'll shift it, and we'll bring it over here. Now's the time. Because it needed to be fixed with my strategy of adding and subtracting. So we determined that it's not centered. And I was going to go too far, and I need to make sure I leave myself some room. So I'm backpedaling on what I was just saying in a sense. I have to do something. There's a shadow on this side. Let's get that shadow in. Really broad strokes, really, you could even say aggressive. Getting the mouth, see, it's almost like, here's a perfect example of putting my money where my mouth is. Just putting things in, even they're totally off, but they're in now. Now I have a starting point. Every time you do that, it's just like, now you have a starting point. Maybe if I remember, I won't reveal the, it's probably too late. Oh, I think probably in my thumbnail, but I was gonna say I won't reveal the reference image, but maybe it's too late for that. I don't know if that dog's coming through, but there's a dog going haywire, my neighbor's dog or something. And I hope by me doing these videos, giving myself a bit of a format by saying like a 1 hour portrait, it enables the same thing that I'm trying to share, which is letting go and putting a parameter on it so that really suits me and that I can commit to. Because I feel like everyone can, maybe not every day, but periodically put together, find an hour to go, okay, I'm just going to paint for an hour. And then for me personally, I want the parameters to be really liberal and not have these rigid expectations which just hinder me and slow me down and don't really serve me. So we're just moving everything over. Okay, so that's a bit better. So we moved everything over. Face is a little wider, which even seems to work with the reference. Just using a lighter shade here, get its lines, its blocks. I think we got the darkest in. I'll show you my palette. So I added a little purple, black into the burnt sienna. Let's fine design more. Remember, we put this in, we put these blocks in, and then we're going to move them around. We put the blocks in, then we move them around. He's got a little double chin with this facial expression. And as you go along, there will be more and more intention with your brush strokes. I just felt it just a moment ago. I felt, okay, a little bit right here. I was like, okay, I'm trying to actually get the figure there. Before that, I didn't have any, like, I'm just trying to put something down and correct it. Put something down and correct it. This looks like the darkest. There's some. His mouth is up in this smirk that he's giving. But if you know me, it's not about the portrait. It's never about the portrait. It's about where we can take it, what's going to happen, what my mind's going to come up with as I'm creating. So that's kind of one of the big difference between me kind of guiding you through a portrait and how my mind works. I just needed to start somewhere. This is me starting somewhere. Now I got like a heavy dose of some light gray. Won't even get complicated, just black and white. But this will just help me cut a little bit, right? So now we're subtracting from the painting to get it closer, in theory, to that reference. And let's be a little artistic and we're not going to cover the whole background, especially yet. We're just tidying up the edges. Again, look how big this brush is. For me, this is significant in its size. I like to get small fast, but I'm holding it because to meet that 1 hour, let's take this large brush as far as it can go. Totally mixing a new palette, not really thinking about it. Browns, oranges and yellow ochres with some white. So now we got not the basic shape. Subtracting. You don't repaint the entire thing. You're sculpting. Trying to get those lines, try to get that head, the forehead there. Put this color in there, see? Taking away and then adding. And maybe this line was too much when I subtracted, so let's add. And that's the secret, adding and subtracting. It goes over more, and then over here. I think this side, you kind of make distinctions. You try to guide yourself like this is more important than here. This is going to be more impactful, this side of this hair. It's darker in there. I'm going to keep this, clean my brush, but keep it. I'm not finished yet. Let's go dark again. Purple, burnt sienna, some black. Mix it right into that previous color. A little slower. I saw the Joker there for a sec. What's this? Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire as the Joker. And then I just play with those ideas. Where do they go? Where do they take me? Trying to get this side's important. Remember, it's also darker. It's a little fatter. Let's get some red going in there. That's nice. Was missing that red. No one knows what ears look like, so that gives you some leeway. I want it darker for that eye. You either go too dark or not dark enough, then you just keep adding. Let's get those pupils in now. He looks funny. I like that. That's a good sign. There's shadow here. It's tough getting this side of the jaw here. Then he's got like a thing inside. That smirk's really exaggerated, but go with it. The nose looks close to the eye. Let's go up higher. His eyes are too low. Look at, we just kind of subtracted everything we did. We deleted everything we just did earlier. Well, you got a big brush, you can make big changes and small strokes. You can make some big changes. Hair works well with big brush. Get those dots back in there. They help kind of give you a landing. Somewhere for your eyes to land. Okay. I'm going to just dry this off quite a bit and use a little of that dark color in this. Kind of comes over more before I abandon the brush. But the main reason I want to change brushes now is let's do some like more. I'm going to zoom into my reference, but I want to do some more I want to get a little more subtle, a little less. We can sculpt the eyebrows better right off the bat. The zooming into the reference really helped already. And little things like that can make a big difference during your process, right? You're staring at an image for extended period of time. You need to do something. You'll see people turn their paintings upside down, look through mirrors, all that. So well, maybe just try moving your reference around a little bit, because that kind of seemed to do the trick right away. It gave me a sense of confidence even. And now I would say I can see him. To what capacity is debatable, but there's something here. And give yourself that. It doesn't hurt. It's fine. Remember, this isn't something this is just not only practice, but discovery. What happens when you paint Tobey Maguire, when he's in his alternate ego phase? And that's, that smirk, that meme style smirk. And where you're even playing with the colors too, which is fun. Like you play with them right on the in this case the paper. Still carving a little bit, still sculpting. I think now that I see that, now I know why I kind of chose this image, because if I just play with this smirk, I find that to be rather funny. The face with that smirk. Let's see, his eyes will be the most important part of this painting. Then the mouth, the nose and hair. This double chin is kind of, I think, important to get it looking right. Go back to dark. You saw this brush already, but I just didn't point it out when we transitioned. I think most people will have a hard time getting the shape of the eyes. I don't really think about it because I think it's just more about adding and subtracting. Just because you laid down the paint doesn't mean it stays. It's just the beginning. You have your high points. We can even lose the pupils. The smirk is less dramatic. Despite. Let's brighten it up. Add some white into your mix. Big jumbled mix. I'll show you again. So I just added some white into here. darks. Here's that gray, the background. I even start using it. That's why I wouldn't be it's not good to follow my directions on color mixing as more it is to explore. That's kind of thing. What I always come back to when I want to share something is about talking about ideas and exploring in the creative process, just the simple act of creating. It's just so important to my existence, my day-to-day, my work, everything is about creating. It's so meaningful. And the main tip about just an hour portrait, just to repeat myself again though, is I just do an hour painting and record it, and maybe you can upload that, just the baby steps. Because I'm going to be painting anyway, but it's all the stuff that comes with the uploads and the editing. It's not my cup of tea. I don't mind making reels and just recording it and just speeding it up, but actually walking through this, and I don't enjoy that typically. So you see, I'm just going gradually higher in value, lighter in value, but still with the intention of finding the image through sculpting. And I don't think you can get away from those kind of key words. I keep repeating them, but that's how I feel. That's what I feel like I'm doing. It's like bringing it out. This brow might be a little too high. And here will be a really good example of. So we'll add down here. So we're adding, when thinking about it, adding and subtracting. Just find all your dark spots. I was going to put it here, but it's too dark there. So brighten your brush up with some of the palette. Even this will be too dark, but it'll help find it. One thing you can get away with, the eye and ear level, the jaw level, it's more forgiving than you think. It's there's more space here. Who cares? The gap between the bottom of his earlobe and his jaw, who cares? Who cares? You only got an hour to do this. This is just the same gray. Just keep sculpting those eyes. Smaller brush, smaller strokes, it's good. Don't make any, we've ejected from the phase with the larger brush and the more dramatic brush strokes. We've ejected from there. A little more intention, a little slower. And now I have something to work from. Now we can say, okay, that's a head, pretty objectively. Now what? This is what I would be asking myself without you. Where are we going? Let's get a little bit of red in there. I think I like the location of his lips. They're very thin little bird lips. Little bird lips. There's always red around the eyes and noses and the creases. Not like blood red, but like a orangey brown red. This is a nice way to sculpt the brows too. Little oranges and reds in his cheeks. This is me thinking, by the way. This is me thinking. Sometimes you do stuff just that you doesn't need any sort of brain power, don't need any bandwidth. You just fill in your gaps of like, okay, what does it need? I'm not sure. Okay, so then think. Hell, you know what? No, I was just gonna jump to a smaller brush. Not yet. Hold on. Don't rush. Don't hit a small brush yet. Let me tidy up some of the shapes with this larger brush first. There's some light in here. Let's sculpt the nose a bit. That was a mistake. So what a mistake is when you don't add or subtract. You just almost create more work for yourself. Sometimes mistakes are great, so it's not a bad thing. But the reason it's a mistake is because I'll just show you. I'm grabbing a smaller filbert. I've been in my filberts a lot lately. They're really cheap too, like these aren't good quality brushes. But let me show you the mistake. I'm zooming into my reference photo more because I just know that this nose was not correct. Since we're at the small filbert, I got my other brush right here. Let's just tap those lines and see if we can get a little more clarity. Sometimes when you put a pupil is a good example. Even these nostrils were helpful as well. You can really start to see where you're going. Are you going in the right direction? Are we getting the shape of his eyes in there? This eye looks smaller than this eye. It's okay to be honest with yourself. Honesty is not necessarily kind or mean, just is what it is. And why I say like, hey, is this right or wrong? No, it's not right. Now you can play with that. That's kind of where I come in. Probably one of my skill sets is like, okay, how can we make this fun? How can we have fun with some of the anomalies I've created? That's why I always say like, if you don't know where to start, just start with like the cast of Friends, like the old sitcom Friends. Just try to paint one of their characters and you'll end up with some ungodly monstrosity just by you trying to create a portrait. You'll end up with some sort of disaster, and that's where I come in. That's what it's all about. Having fun, playing in the depths. So right now it's like, okay, just try to paint Tobey Maguire. Okay, here's me trying to paint Tobey Maguire. What do you want to do with this? Oh, good question. Good question. So I think this is the right size versus like, so you have to come to a decision. And the decision is, don't make this smaller, make this larger. How are we going to do that? I think we're going to go down. It's an easier route. We're going to pull it that way. Now it doesn't look like Tobey, but it does look like a strange little boy with a smirk, right? Some sort of strange man waiting at the bus. Maybe he saw someone slip, spill their groceries, and that's his reaction. So it looks like we are switching to the smaller filbert after all. That's fine. So we're going to put this guy away into the bucket. Zoom back out in my reference. Maybe it sounds like maybe I am repeating myself because it's kind of like I'm just walking you through what my brain's thinking, and there is a lot of repetition. Hi, Mom. No, I just started having buns. You can see that even the way that my brush strokes kind of take place. With the smaller brush, I think it even kind of happens organically, or maybe you got to kind of pace yourself or prepare yourself mentally for. But for me, it just happens pretty organically. Is that my what happens to my brush strokes? When you gradually find yourself with the smaller brush. Now that smile looks a little ghoulish, which I'm fascinated by. This is higher than here. I think this one's right. This comes up a little bit. A slight curve. One line at a time, don't worry about above. And usually what I think one of the biggest hurdles for painting a portrait is it's a combination of things. It's not like, why is this off? It's not one thing that's off that's causing it not to look right. It's a combination of things. And that can be really one of the most challenging pieces to paint. So I always try to find a way to make that more enjoyable. Like this nostril off. So it can be a number, it's a bunch of small combination of things. The nostril position, this outer crevice, the height. It's going a little bit brighter, but we are mixing in with the colors underneath. I like this ghoulish look he's got here. You don't really see the nostril on this side when you're looking at the reference. You see it a lot more on this side. And see how I'm picking away at things and coming back. Picking away at things, coming back. Let them sit for a second. Sometimes if you force something too much and you keep laboring over a particular area, it can just drive you crazy, and you can actually harm the painting. You can go backwards. Okay, I see him more now. So this angle's off. Let's get a darker color. Let's get that red back in there. Mix it in with the burnt sienna, some black, a little orange, your typical skin color palette. Just darker than what I had, really. Again, I'm gonna grab, this is one of my favorite brushes, I'll show you. This is where I like to typically work. But the reason why, because I want to sculpt this a little, I want to get it. His nose looks like a little button, I'll take it. I won't hold this brush too long, not yet. This brush is better for a few other things, but I like that. That was good. Made some progression. So you're just constantly progressing. And now that we're here, this is the fun. This is where, for me, this is the funnest part, where you see something and it gives you something to really work with, work with. I'll show you another little secret here. I'm just deciding whether it needs it or not. I think it kind of does. So now I'm going to grab a dry brush. Let me start with the lighter colors, and we're just going to... It's almost like a nice... Careful of the dark colors, they'll really work hard. It'll be a dramatic outcome. So that's why I didn't touch the hair first. But you're just kind of, what's the best way how to describe that? You're just diluting things, or you're blurring things so they become a little softer for sure, but also helping with like soften the entire piece. I like to do this because I can kind of see things a little bit differently and move things around a little more subtly without any sort of violent or aggressive brush strokes. Even though I was calming down, it's still like, no, let's be gentle here. Let me see here. Let me calm down any extra paint that's on there. But you can see how with this paper I'm able to do this. Is again kind of why I called it a trick. It would be quite difficult to do this on canvas at this time. But I get like millimeter growth. I get like, I'm just really no way for me to really kind of put it into articulate it and guide you from what exactly I'm doing. But I would tell you, I would suggest doing it when you're not attached to anything, you're not working on your Mona Lisa, but just try this approach with your own paintings when you're just practicing. And then I can start pushing harder on the brush. But what it does is like, I want to make this darker here. So I'm just using the paint that's already in this area, the dark, because I blocked in the dark. Now I'm just going over all of this area. I want it a little bit darker, but I don't want to make any rash decisions. And I can kind of see the eye shape a little bit better. I like the shade and the neck on this side and the face. It's good, it's working for me. I won't be using this brush again, so I just take the time to clean it off entirely. And how much time has gone by? 45 minutes. I'll give myself 40 minutes because of the talking. So it's been about 45 minutes. And I don't think I started right away. So anywhere between 35 and 45 minutes. But I'm going to take my strategy and go, okay, I would like to keep this train going. Let's move down. I actually like this filbert. This filbert, I haven't given it let's do another pass with this filbert. The smallest one I've had. I'm going to make a new mix. I'll show you. Burnt sienna, yellow ochre, some light pink, light orange, even a little red in there, a little black, desaturate, then get your white to make it creamy. Actually, let's even get a little green in there. I like green faces, especially in the chiaroscuro play, like playing in the shadows, like when the face has some shadows. I'll show you here. So I just put some green on this brush. Because this is too orange, even before I add more white into here. But you can see what the green did. And that could have been any green. I didn't even look, I just picked a green label. Picking some spots. Shape that. Let's get this going. That's another reason about kind of like really trying to follow my techniques. I think that's a fool's errand. I think the best thing I can offer is just playing. Just play. Because I don't know why I put these marks there. And for me to try to explain why I did that, I don't have an explanation. I think I just see something and so I do it. But I do know that I like greens in my pieces. Huh? That's too bright. How do we fix that? Good question. I'm going to grab it. This brush is completely dry. Just pull that off a little bit. These are the next phase of brushes. His ear is more round. Doesn't quite look like Tobey, but now I do want to play. Let's play. Okay, so let me... Little pointed brush. Let's get your grays, blues, reds. Even blacks. I'll show you what that looks like. What's this? Eye color. This is eye color. Might even be too bright, believe it or not. No, it's okay. Remember I told you earlier the eye will be, this is nothing new, but the eyes are the most important. So we're going to jump into what's most important. It will guide the entire painting. Because even if you just did the eyes well, you're in good shape. You can say a lot with just the eyes. It's up here and then goes down from here. This is where you start to really get the shape right. The shape wasn't important to me until now. This brush is feeling nice. I'm going harder here. Can shape those brows too. I think why it's organic when I was trying is because you can't make as much of a shift with one stroke. It doesn't. You have to make multiple strokes. If I would have done this again, I would have put a little less paint on there because it even makes me want to go back up to a larger brush. I got too much paint on my brush. It's a mistake. But what have we learned about mistakes? Nothing. We haven't learned anything. There's just too much pain. It's a lot to work. Feels chaotic. Got excited, I think. You can tell I'm really focused now. I shut up. Oh, this is a nice brush. I got so many brushes that are good and bad to me. It's weird. I think at one point I'll have expensive brushes that I do, like all my brushes will just be, you know, I guess artist level or professional, however they grade brushes. Right now I have a myriad of different brushes. Some are just literally like dollar store trash, but I like them. But this one I just noticed, I think I remember buying it recently, and it was like kind of mid-tier, so a little more expensive than the cheapest one, and then obviously not the most expensive. I am eyeing some higher quality brushes in the near future, though. I've been researching it. But the real lesson is you don't need them. That's why I don't have them already. If you had to have them, I would have them, because anything I have to have, I buy it. I purchase it without question. Like the panels, the paper, whenever I need something that's like absolutely essential, there's no hesitation. With something like an upgrade that like you hem and haw about, I take my time. I don't want a bucket full of like great brushes if they don't really shift anything. So this goes in more. We are getting to my hour, so let's do this crazy thing again. I'm gonna take that brush that I put away, the big filbert, I'm gonna dry it off. Because remember, I think I told you, I just put a little bit too much paint on. This is a dry brush, it's probably only 90% dry. I'm just gonna blur it again. This time I have a little more reason for it. It's because there's just a lot of paint on there, and I want to work the paint that's on the canvas, but I want to do it in a way that I'm blending kind of a larger surface. That's why we jumped up to a large brush again. But delicate, soft. This is me almost, I guess, being honest, like kind of fixing a mistake. The mistake was I just put too much paint on up here, and then I pulled it everywhere. It didn't need that. If I had to do it again, I would have put a little less paint. But in a sense, that's where it's like, is it really a mistake? I don't know, because I'm still really enjoying where this is going. So maybe it was meant to be. Work with it. Calm this line down. See how you can kind of calm that down by blurring everything, and you're almost like doing like a little mini mix right here, mixing the colors all together. Any sharpness. Instead, I keep trying to maybe look for the words of like diffusing and blurring, but it's actually just, you're You're getting rid of any of the sharpness. I wish I said that earlier with confidence, because that's exactly what it is. I'm just getting rid of any of the sharpness. And it's a little subtle. It's like gentle. This is necessary despite my lack of conviction. I like to blur most pieces I do. This is part of the process. Helps me find the shapes as well. Removes the sharpness so I can add the sharpness in the right area. Yes, that's what it is. I know like some of these lines, I need them to be a little calmer because I need to adjust them accordingly. Plus you want the outside lines and certain lines to be soft as well anyway. You know, sharpness is not typically your friend. If you're aiming for like a hyper-realistic portrait, then disregard that. Then sharpness can be quite friendly, quite important. Okay, what's happening with that fucking chin? But because we softened everything, and we still have the earlier tool of adding and subtracting, it's like, okay, so where are we actually? Nice. You can move the shapes around a little easier after you've blended it. See what you have. Okay, so but back to this chin. I knew this chin was important from the moment I laid eyes on her. Purple, heck, blue, green, little black, little brown. Gentle, sir, gentle. This side is dark. Gentle. Make it up. It doesn't have to be all the reference. Commit. Commit. And go back to this chin. It's not black. It's not a black line. That's why we mixed all those colors together. It's a little darker in here. It's round. Remember here is, if you look at the reference, it's dark in here. I threw in that brighter color earlier. Comes out. Because you don't have like a really aggressive dark color, and we've been using the, look at it, like I haven't touched the palette for a while, right? Just marking, I'm kind of like marking now with more refinement. think it's also funny to paint Tobey Maguire because Tom Holland's getting all the flowers right now. I was once like you. Okay. This is fascinating. These are all the brushes. We hit the hour mark. So I'm thinking, let me go to my favorite brush. Let me try to clean some of this area up. I'm not going to count this. Give me some leeway here. Don't punish me. Not yet. Punish me after. Not yet. Gonna go brighter. This paint brush doesn't hold a lot, but let me just see what I can do. It's not the right color, but we can use this color somewhere in the face. It's just not there. Oh, I love this brush. Just, in fact, I'm going to buy a new one. Just silky. The application of the paint is silky. I love that. I love the way that the paint drags on the paper. And I love the way that this brush applies the paint. I can't let a 1 hour painting video go to 2 hours, so I already know that. I just thought there might be something in this piece that takes us somewhere, and so far I'm still kind of toying with the actual subject, which is kind of surprising, but also not. I am enjoying it. But in all fairness to everyone here, including myself, like I wouldn't normally walk away from this where it's at, so I'm not going to let myself do quite that. But if we just took my original idea, like, okay, here's an hour portrait, I'm happy with where we ended up. Because I do this for a living, I don't want to let this go to waste. I see something here. That dog's still, that's the longest this dog's barked in a while. It's weird. Or maybe I normally have my music on, I don't hear him. So I'm doing a couple things. I'm obviously still playing. I've got to a much smaller sized brush. I'm continuing to go higher and higher. I'm also, look at that, I'm still playing with that eye. It goes up here. Very gentle. The paper hugs the painting, the paint. I don't recommend you always paint on paper, by the way. It's not end all be all. It's just very enjoyable. And it works also for experimental kind of ideas, and just get yourself going. Just paint, man, just paint. I see more Tobey. Is it a 1-to-1? No. But I see something like, hey, that looks like my neighbor who looks like Tobey. Tobey what? Tobey Maguire. That looks like my neighbor. He looks a lot like Tobey Maguire. That's what we're going for, sir. He's got some highlights here. But But if you I think why I joke about it, like, let yourself do that. Let yourself make up a story of like, I painted my neighbor who looks a lot like Tobey Maguire. That's what I did. That was my, like, it's just fun. And you get better as you go. In some pieces, like some ideas are like, okay, you don't have to plan it out, but you're like, I got 3 hours for this piece. So naturally you can keep picking away using the same strategy, adding and subtracting until you get closer and closer. And then you'll end up the first number of times that it's not really that close at all. But if you enjoy just like these brush strokes right here, like the way that the paint sticks to the paper, I love that feeling. And I could just do it all day. And when you do that, you just get better. And then you watch other tutorials, some like ones that are a little more helpful with technique. But that's not where I come in. I come in to get you going. Use your ideas. We're painting my neighbor who looks a lot like Tobey Maguire. Free yourself. I think this is like a rinse and repeat technique to this time. I think the last time I did this, it was too wet, so just emphasizing what I'm doing off screen. Really want it dry. So get out your tissue and you can hear the vigor. Okay, and we're just dusting again. D sharpen anything and shape. D sharpen and shape. Using the paint that's there. Blending everything as well. Bring everything together. Bring it all home. Bring it home. Bring it home, Daddy. Bring it home, Toby. Bring us home. Dry it off again. Get rid of that paint that's on there. Don't clean it off like in the turpentine. Just get rid of some of that paint, but blend this together. Use the paint that's on there. Look at where those lines are. Take your time. That harshness, you see that harshness? And then we might have to add a little depth there again, but we've removed the harshness. The harshness of those colors that I put in. We're using some of them subtly. Blend this to bring it all home, Toby. Soften that. Nice. Let's put some of that back in there then, but it's just softer. Let's blur some of the, oh, too much paint. In fact, so much paint that I gotta totally start again. So clean the brush, get it right, get it, really you want 100% dry, but in the 90s is fine. Because if it's wet, it's gonna pull too much paint. And that's not good. It's not what we're looking for right now anyway. I'm probably even rushing what I'm doing because we're under time constraints. Let's pull this down. See, it's a little wet. I can feel that it's a little wet the way that it pulls the paint. We're going with it. But it just got too dark on the brush. I pulled in too much paint, and then it'll just cause more, you'll make more problems. You won't continue on this journey of softening everything. Soften it up. Soften that double chin. Look what the reference is doing. And just remember the softening these edges. In doing so, you get a little realism in it as well. Probably not the right color, so I'm just gonna grab the right color, but I put paint on and then actually clean off the brush. You still want to play in soft. And now we're kind of back to using the paint that's already out on the paper. I don't think I'm going to add music into the video. Probably needs it, but just going to hear me breathing. I put paint back on this big filbert. Whoa! Go with it. But I didn't put a lot. Should have said that. So I can kind of still mix and blend and blur and pull. You can also see what's happened here earlier, like going big to small to big to small. Calm this down. It's just not right, so let's just calm it down then, before like totally changing it. Why I put paint back on there is because this is not right. No matter how much I blend, I'm not going to get it right. But if you don't put a lot of paint on, then you can still do like the same thing that I've been talking about. You can blend, blur, shape, all at the same time. Let's go a little harder, but not a lot of paint. I'm mixing a lot of paint actually, but we're going to take it all off. So here's the brush. Now I'm going to take some of that off by wiping it on my towels. I'm zooming into my reference photo. Get a little more paint on there. See where the bridge of the nose is right in the middle. Calm this down. Yeah, it's kind of funny. What I'm thinking about, like, you guys forgot about fucking Tobey, man. You all forgot about Tobey. I never forgot about Tobey. Spider-Man, whatever, Homebound or whatever just came out. And Tobey's at home. I think this is very timely, time-sensitive painting. Got a lot of paint on here, so I've got to be careful. going to work it into this side. This side is much brighter overall. It's not bright, it's just brighter. Cute nose. Sometimes I always wonder, like, artists should maybe just not talk. I think everything I say can be like taken out of context at any given time. Or like I'll say things and I don't necessarily stand behind them. But I think it's refinement. It's just all about refinement. And if you have the patience, you know, I think there's some things that you have the patience naturally for. Like I just have the patience to make this work, even if it takes multiple passes. Whereas you might find that with painting, you just don't have the patience that it needs. And even if you're like, I want to have the patience, I just don't. But for me, I get lost here. Right with where we're at right now, because I'm talking, it feels a little different than my normal process. Like it just feels different because I'm kind of explaining what I'm thinking and doing. But this is where I get lost, and I just keep going. And then even at a certain stage, even after doing all this, that we might completely change everything. Going to my small filbert. It's not really a highlight, we're just really emphasizing the brightest value that I've created right now. Yeah, you can see right there, like it's not like a highlight, it's just reapplying the highest value again. And sometimes there's no lines, like you see between the ear and the cheek. You don't need a line to like explain it to people. Whether there is one or isn't one in the reference, it's like, as I look at the reference, there isn't a line. It's just a slight shift in a shade or a slight shift in the color. That's it. And that helps with the thing that whenever I grab the big filbert and then I start to blend and blur, you'll lose the sharpness of the lines, which when I was talking about gives you like a sense of realism. Look, we're even on those eyelids. And let's go here. I can't even tell you where I'm going, but let's try it. Let's get some red into the mix. Just a darker value. I'm also going to change my glasses now. So I'm going to scale up my glasses. And when I scale up my glasses, I can see smaller details, obviously. But that's another trick I have, is swapping out my glasses for when I hit a certain stage. But the truth is I couldn't really see what I was doing with the brush when I was doing those eyelids. I was just guessing. I was just going to jump back into my big filbert again, but we're not because of time constraints. So let's go higher value. When I don't know what to do, that's not the brightest value, so we'll hit the higher value now. Kind of going in the direction of it. Some areas you can make it up, but try to let that reference work with you. I didn't add more paint, I just kind of move it around what we placed. This highlight kind of comes all the way. Yeah, with these glasses I can see some of the lip areas. Like the little nuances. I wouldn't call this a highlight. Just getting the brightest value, like kind of like excluding the highlights, but like the brightest values, where are we here? Get them locked in. One kind of cool thing is, like, despite me repeating myself over and over again, painting can seem overwhelming or a lot going on, which it is. But you do get to a place where you know everything. Like, obviously there's always going to be new little things and little variations and little techniques that you can add to your tool belt, but after a certain while you kind of know the ins and outs. It'd be like playing the piano. Like, there's so many things, and yeah, you'll see a person who does something new that you never thought about before. Of course, all that stuff is true, but with the foundation, the fundamentals, of painting, you can get there. Or at least, even if you're learning still, it's not a surprise. The surprise phase will. And I should walk that back a little bit by saying, like, obviously you're always learning and getting better, so there's progression. But it's not, but what I'm not going to walk back is the fact that it's not a surprise anymore when I work on a piece. And that's kind of partly like why I can pick up any color and just use it, because I know where it should go, where it should kind of match. Or not even where it should match, where it can match. I haven't touched those pupils for a while, so we'll do that now. I'm going to go to my ultimate favorite brush. This is where I spend most of my paintings, believe it or not, is with this. Hope we're still recording. Yeah, okay, good. So it's been 1 hour and 25 minutes. I think if I don't try to finish this soon, will this be in a whole other can of worms that I remember I tried to avoid this, because when I do a long video, I don't know now if this will even get to, if anyone will ever hear this. I'm dead serious, because once we hit like past the 2-hour mark, which we're not there yet, but we're getting close, I can't sit and watch and edit what I'm talking about and try to make it. I got to figure out a way that I can really try to maybe stick to a 1-hour portrait. Fuck. Because here we are, I'm just not sad. The truth is, I'm not okay with where it's at. So I keep going. Because I want to at least show you something presentable, and then I also want to have something where I can use this, whether I sell it or I work off of it, right? So I'm trying to like balance all these things. Or maybe that's just the joke, is like a 1 hour portrait and then it's a 4 hour video. But even if it's like, fine, that you should do that, I just won't upload it. I don't want to sit and like go through this. I can't. My brain, it's just not how I operate. It's not where I like to spend my time. Even if I had like, you know, this massive YouTube kind of presence, it's not where I want to spend my time. When I'm on my computer and like, it's just tough. I'm trying to think, maybe there's different subjects where I think if I paint like an actual like object, maybe then I can get it really tight into a 1 hour portrait. But then it's not a portrait. But this brush is where I like to spend my time. Get a lot done. It's the most fun. You can do everything with it. I am going to go back to this final blur. This will probably be the final. Okay, maybe I just mistimed this piece in particular, because I do feel like this would be, if you guys weren't here watching, this would be my final blur. So maybe I am getting somewhere. Okay. It's a little wet. Calms down some of these brush strokes and like blotches. I don't know if you can hear the cats fighting now. What's happening with this neck? Ooh. All right, I see him more now. I got to stop with that brush, and the reason it's not clean, it's not dry. And if you keep going and try to make it work, it's going to fail you. So I'd say this is 80% dry. Same tactic. Find it actually a little easier using the larger brush for this. Because I like working with all the paints kind of surrounding a certain area, making them like work in unison or together. Sense of delicateness. And if you're not blending, that's why I'm going to add a little bit of paint on here. The blending's not working. guess I won't even rush it. Even for like, not an experiment, but for a project. Just can't happen, not in my books. So I guess it's just a 1 hour portrait in 4 hours. You want to learn how to paint a 1 hour portrait in 4 hours? Because I actually thought we were going to derail this thing too, which I'm like even still open to. Now he's starting to have noises. If your painting's starting to have noises, you're doing the right thing. Right? He's making some sort of sound. With this face is making a sound, then you're winning. I feel like I should tell some sort of secret here, because the amount of people that have made it this far are close to slim and none. I should give you some sort of massive discount code in my art store. If you've made it this far watching me paint Toby Hooper, Tobey Maguire, God help you. But as I say that, I really hope that you pulled something from this. From old Tobes. Old Toby. I was once like you. I was once in the limelight. Hit it hard here. Hit it hard here. Hit it hard here. Hit it hard here. Get that neck right. I like those strokes. Those are nice strokes, if I do say so myself. Hit it hard there. Get some more paint. Get that nose right. This is more of like almost like a highlight here. Kind of there, but not really. There's like a ledge under there, a ridge. Yeah, it's also hard not working with music or podcasts and stuff, and trying to keep you guys going with my thoughts. I think it's probably only good content for an hour as well. Like, how long can you watch this for? Agonizing. Belaboring. Kind of goes up. Kind of goes up. Kind of comes down. You got like an evil laugh happening. Okay, go to my favorite brush. Not quite as high, but it's still high, but I've actually calmed it down. You can kind of do anything you want with it. Works anywhere. Yeah. It's kind of got like a Bobby Lee laugh. calm this line down. Even this line, calm it down. Just by touching it. Add a little orange into that. Same kind of palette, but just a little orangey. And brown. And some darkness, which is... So we're going to put it back into there. You can leave more strokes in it now. I won't be going back to the, I'll keep my word on that just for a number of reasons, but I also don't think it needs it. Where I would go to the large filbert again and blend it, blur it. We are officially over that. But now you're going to start seeing more of my brush work. Yeah, maybe that's how we'll be able to finish it. We'll make it artistic. You see, I'm an artist. I'm going to do these strokes, and then that way I can convince you and trick you into thinking this is what it was all about the whole time. Just these artistry strokes. Oh wow, look how masterful that is. Wow. Whoa, yeah. That was the plan the whole time. See the brush though? I don't know, maybe you can see it like that. It's loose, it's broken even. It's definitely broken in. But now we have these kind of artistic strokes, these stylized. Let's go harder with the gave him some life, didn't it? Stylized is, in a sense, like really giving yourself permission to be off. Not, I wouldn't call it a mistake, but just to, like, it's... Are there any areas that really have some more depth that I miss? So sometimes at this stage, okay, I have something to say after all that. The darkness works with the bright. They work together. So the more the deeper you can go on each side, the more kind of produces, I think there's times where that can work against you, but in this case, like having some variation in the darkness and variation in the light is good. I like it. And I think, as I said, yeah, I'm a little more confident than I might have sounded by earlier. I think that is really important. And now also I get to a certain point too, I don't care anymore. It might seem That might seem counterproductive or counter to what I'm doing or my actions, but I don't care if I lose them even. I don't think I will though, by the way, so I'm not anticipating that. But when I'm doing like this stylized strokes and this painterly approach all of a sudden, just going with it. You kind of become at this point, you become the master of the art. You're deciding this. If you've got it this far, you can make that decision. And people will trust you. So when I mean variations, like, okay, let's go kind of the deepest we've gone and the darks. Here. I don't know if there's anywhere else that'll be that dark. You can get wild, but just don't get unconscious. Give him that smirk. As much as people who know what Tobey Maguire looks like, they don't know what Tobey Maguire looks like. You're telling them what he looks like. Maybe they didn't see this image before. Maybe they've seen it 100 times, but who knows really where his smirk lands and where it doesn't land. You're telling them, you're reminding them. Another thing is, like, sometimes it's good to have broken lines. You never like do one single line. You break these lines up. There's depth in there. There's a little depth in there, don't get carried away. What's this chin doing? There's a sharp line there. Let's go hard in the eye pupils. Let's play. I'm just going to see what happens when we play with the paint that's already on these eyes. I'm going to play in the highlights again. He doesn't really have highlights in the reference, but we're going to, again, this is like a stylized choice. Like I like it. Okay, so this painting just took a little bit longer. I think I would have went a different direction if we weren't recording. I like it. I don't love it. I think I like it because I am happy I chose this subject matter. I really think there's something in just, I could care less about this guy one way or another, but so I'm not trying to be completely mean. But I do think there must be something happening in this boy's mind when you were in a position, when you were on top of the world, especially like Spider-Man 2 was pretty good. And then the latest Spider-Man came out and you're no longer the guy. And I'm sure there's admiration for the new one. You know, it's not all hostility or resentment, but it must be kind of tough. So I thought this guy deserves his own little, hey, remember me? Yeah, we remember you. Tobey Maguire. Can't remember your name, but we remember you. Let's put a little there. That's nice. Remember, calm these down. If they're too dark or too aggressive, it doesn't help you. It's a nice, yeah, that's nice. Oh, and I think what this will help it too is we'll just go straight gray or like a little. It's not white, and it's far from it. In fact, this will be probably too dark, and we'll get a better brush. So this is like a gray, light, browny gray, even in the mid. Not a lot of paint on here. Just moving it around. Get a little more paint. Pick your spots. A little more paint, maybe more than I thought. Watch the curves of the head. Look where those lines are going. That's what I was talking about, the right brush. That's the right, those are the right strokes. This brush can't do that. This brush just does like hair by hair. This brush does multiple hairs at once. Ah. Ah. Oh, there's an aura. Let's go. There's color there. That's why. You get it. There's color there. Sometimes brushes really work with you. Sometimes they don't. Both are important. You can kind of have, like, one of the secrets is, this is the last thing I'll tell you. Because we got him in place, close enough, like where I'm, like, you know, take the criticism out of it, but we got the painting where it is. And in my mind, I'm happy with it. That's why I can play around. I can play around because we got it already. We got him. We got him. Don't think I really explained that well, but because we got him, I can play around. That's all I can tell you. You have to figure that out yourself. But look at those aggressive strokes. We got him. We got him. Oh, fine, fuck it. Let's sign it. I'm done. Anything else? Highlight eyes. More highlight eyes. Please, sir, please. Whoa, that's a highlight eye, isn't it? Maybe a little crying, right? Based on the meaning of this painting. He's a little upset, you know, and we understand why. Stylistic choices, baby, boys and girls. Stylistic choices. Ahead here so I can give you something to take home with you. And I just realized I took probably about an hour break, and then I also kind of started working on it again. But the painting's called Breaking Point, and it still surrounds all of the ideas that I was rapping on about earlier, and the arc of Tobey Maguire. But I think he hit a breaking point where we're gonna do like something like this. He went to the tattoo parlor and just said, "Give it to me. I earned it. I earned this." I earned this. I earned these scars. I earned these markings. So he kind of got the jailhouse treatment. And you can see I'm just using like a blue, green, brown kind of. And what I'll even do is just see how we can, forgive me, I'm thinking as we go along here. This is typically how it goes. Like becoming the supervillain, that would make so much sense. But I had to let the painting sit to see where we were going to take it, and I couldn't do all that. I am doing it. I would still call this one sitting, because I was working on it while I stopped recording. But now, and I'm not even going to use a reference for these traditional. I like that light blue, but we still kind of need it arced. Probably should use a reference, but I kind of think there's some novelty and excitement about free balling it here. I think these are the lines I am looking for. They might be a little wide, but kind of like go for it, man. Maybe he got like a second layer here. Yeah. It doesn't have to be right. In fact, it doesn't work if it's right. But you do have to make it look good. If you listen to me ever before, it's kind of a common theme. It's not about being right. It is about being good. So can we make this look like tattoos? Can we make him look like a madman? Because it's a breaking point. I mixed way too much paint for this. I was excited. I only need about a tenth of what I pre-mixed here. So he just said, make me into Spider-Man. He got all inebriated, flustered and shook with the news of the box office of the latest Spider-Man. And he broke. And he said, with tears in his eyes, I am the real Spider-Man. I am Peter Parker. Essentially making himself a real supervillain. Ironically. How are we going to do this one line here? Maybe it's like, maybe it's not. Maybe, and which way do these go? That's where a reference like with little things, obviously you just make it up, but you kind of want to hit some sort of like direction, if you will. And that's where a reference would be useful, but I also feel like I just want this, like he got just some random guy on the street that he met at the club. He went to a club. And he's like, dude, if I give you $5,000, $500, will you tattoo my face? I already have the kit in my hotel room. And then imagine walking out of the hotel room in the next morning after making such a rash decision. The rashest. The rashest of decisions. See, this doesn't work, but it works, right? So I've painted Spider-Man enough times too, so I have some. I think we go one more here. And it kind of comes down here. You know, like there's some sort of order in the insanity. And then I think we're gonna go in some areas I want it to be really aggressive. I was not expecting, I was gonna do like a Slayer tattoo or like a little Spider-Man or something. I don't know if you guys have ever seen like bad tattoos. I'm sure you've seen them scrolling, but there's actually like quite a cult following, and there's some really legendary version. There's a guy who got a tattoo of Ray-Bans across his face, like a pair of sunglasses that were drawn on, literally drawn. Very similar style. That's stayed with me for years. And then like his family got really upset with him, and not immediately, like over time. They're like, I can't look at you. You disgust me. Like how often that would come up in a fight, or that's like, your goddamn tattoos, Derek. Your goddamn tattoos, Derek. Why'd you do this to yourself? Why'd you do this to your family? I think we're going full bore. We're going full hog. I'll pick some areas too where, no, that's too black. Let's go blue. I'll go full areas where it's a little more pigment. But I kind of like this. Maybe I'm going to stick with what I'm doing. There's just like some bleeding in the ink. It's rushed, right? So there's a lot of unforeseen accidents. Just keep going. And so every time he would get up periodically and look in the mirror and see his face and goes, yep, this is it. Just think of the ordeal this was such an ordeal, but the madness. And I like how they do, like they try to incorporate previous Spider-Mans, like, hey, you can be in like the bonus, like that, you know, the footage at the end, the bonus footage. Here, put Tobey in the bonus footage. And he shows up with the tattoos. But then Hollywood would be like, oh, we didn't put him in because we were trying to be sensitive to his needs because he had a break. We broke the poor man. But I'm kind of glad I jumped back on for this recording, because this is kind of where I really like to play the most. It's not the portrait, it's where the portrait takes me. When ideas come. And it's a build-up, because you heard me talking about the breaking of Tobey Maguire as I was painting it in his silly little face. And so we got up and down, like going up. I like that faintness. Like some of the ink didn't really land or stick, whereas others really made a mark, really scarred, really took. Some of the marks really took. And I like jumping on trends. I think it's good for your art. You don't be afraid of that. I think you can be tacky. But because Spider-Man's in the news, it's not just jumping, it's in my head. It's like I see the fucking ads, and I see the news about breaking the records, and it's great, and I'll probably see it at some point. It's not like I'm against it. It's just that's what happens. I suck all this stuff up in my day-to-day, consciously and unconsciously. And now we can kind of tidy up his face, because I have a little energy for it, because I like this idea. So I give it a little more, a little more work. I will take off my glasses, put on the other glasses, just to see what we've done. I kind of think I still want, there's some areas that it really comes together when you both clean it up and really commit to a few of these. Like, what happens when we add a little bit of, because these are fresh, so let's see. Just adding a little red into the color, to the greeny blue. That's not right, but enough, that's fine. Now go back to the idea of tidying it up by just going over some of these lines. Kind of bleeding the ink, if you will. You know, I'm not sure if this happened last week or these are 5 years old. You can judge, I'm not sure about that. Considering I want them to be bleeding, that indicates to me that these have aged. So I got a dry brush here and I'm just going over everything now. Maybe not everything, but selective, and also I want to touch. See, I like that look a lot. It's the real grimy jailhouse tattoo look. I do like that I rushed it. So you know, and it kind of works like, because I took my time with the portrait in a sense, you know, I didn't plot it out all day or anything. So it's not a portrait I really spent a lot of time on, but obviously a lot more time than I put these tattoos on. So it kind of works, right? The contrast of these like really aggressive hand-drawn lines, freehand tattoos. It works in contrast with like the details of the face and the eyes and the highlights. And if I wanted to like spend more time on his face next time and plot him out better, I'd have a better go at his face because I've worked on it before, or a face similar. It helps. They all, like all your previous work comes together for the next time, for the next painting. So you build off of your skills. There's no painting that's for nothing. It's raining. You learn from every painting. And maybe it's like not apparent, but it's true. Some areas, let's blur them right out because they're at the side of the face, so they're not in focus. I'm glad I dusted everything though like this. That kind of made it for me. Breaking point. And then it's playing with, I don't think it's black. I think some of these lines are going to be, careful, get your brush right. Get your brush right, meaning like, make sure you know what you're doing. And a good way to do that is make sure your brush is ready to go. So there's just certain lines that are a little heavier than others. You can still fix them or move them around. Now I'm taking my sweet time. The rush game is over. Because I did want that like childlike disaster. There's certain lines in tattoo work that are heavier than others, especially as they age, or touch-ups. I'm here for touch-ups. Oh God, you're really committing. Didn't Pete Davidson get all his tattoos covered up? Like all of them? That's crazy, man. You know how you regret getting tattooed, like the cliches, you're gonna regret it? I wonder if you'd regret covering them up. Like, I'd be more inclined to regretting covering them up than getting a tattoo. Oh, you're going to regret that when you're older. I think you're going to regret those tattoos. Like, he looked like a lot of his pieces were pretty tough, but overall, like, kind of, you get used to the aesthetic right away. And they all mean something, typically, to some degree. I'm wondering if you regret, like, the people that black out their arms, black out some of their old work. I wonder if they regret that. Especially blacking stuff out. That seems like regrettable. I'd rather have some sort of imagery. Although it's an aesthetic. I've seen some blacked out work that looks pretty good. Okay, so you can kind of pick a couple areas to really blur it out. I think that adds a sense of realism. Breaking point. Let me put on my other glasses. Oh, I like it. So because I kind of have this attachment to it for a number of reasons, let me just give it a once over, essentially, back to my going to zoom in, but even back to the reference. Make sure we just have some things that are kind of make them as clear as possible so it's not blurry. You can even clear up some of the lines if I wanted to. Like, you can kind of even like, maybe there's highlights here, so some of them are not totally visible. You know what I mean? They're a little more faint. That adds some realism. This will make some more. Now I am kind of going for some more, remember I wasn't going for sharpness earlier in the video. I was kind of taking that away with some blurriness. But you see, this is my number one brush now. I'm back to my favorite brush, so I can kind of do anything with it. Blur it, sharpen it, everything. It's just on such a smaller scale. He's got some highlights here. We'll add a little highlight into his eyes again. Make them more alive. He's alive for sure. He's probably never been more alive after doing these tattoos. Like, this is peak living. Peak experience. Like, destroying your life thinking this is what it needed. And maybe he's right. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is what it really did need. Just remember, we're going some highlights here. So that's not bright enough, but I kind of did that on purpose. Like, okay, put some color there, but it's better to go a little darker and bring it out than too bright. What's happening here? Kind of happy with himself too. He's enjoying the response he's getting from TMZ and the news and stuff Tobey Maguire's tattoos. Toby, what's going on? Are you okay? Are you doing okay, bud? Is this because you weren't in the latest Spider-Man? Are you making a statement? Is this about the exploitations in Hollywood? Toby. Are you going to regret this? Are you happy with the work? Toby, who's the tattoo artist? Toby. Toby, over here. But because he's kind of like a quirky dude, he doesn't really know what to do with himself. So he kind of still poses a little bit like he's on the red carpet. Toby, look this way. Now over here. Toby. I kind of like them, right? You could try to win them over with some compliments. Hey, Toby, I think it kind of suits you. I think this is a cool look, man. Toby. Exclusive interview. Definitely on Channel 5. Channel 5 lands this one. Toby. What does your family think? Oh, they like it. They're supportive. But I think the real twist and the real win is when he lands the villain in the Spider-Man movie. That's what this is all about. He becomes the villain, the previous Spider-Man, the aged out, washed up, broken becomes the villain. How rad would that be? Knows all the tricks. It's kind of like Venom, but worse. Like a real life Venom. Venom. He's gonna get harangued, like, from the moms teaching their children bad behavior. Okay, I'm crashing out now. There you have it. Okay, appreciate you watching. I'll probably do more one day.